Warning, it is the opinion of the Forestry Productions LLC and the Working Perspectives podcast that we should inform you that some of the language used in this recording could possibly be considered offensive. You have been warned, so if you decide to listen to the recording, then don't complain about the language. Hi, hello, how are you? Thanks for stopping by. Today we're going to talk to some real people about some real things, living real lives, doing real stuff. This is the Working Perspectives podcast. I'm Matt Lavelle, accompanied today by the one and only Rich Latta, and our guest today is Renzo Gracie BlackBelt, Shawn Williams. In case you're wondering, you can find all our stuff and all our content on all podcast platforms and YouTube at Working Perspectives Podcast. You can also on Instagram at Working Perspectives Podcast, and you can join us on the Twitter and the TikTok, the Working P Pod. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, please email us at workperspective@gmail.com, and please like and subscribe so we can keep bringing you this sweet, sweet content. You didn't expect that high voice, did you?
Did not.
No. Nice. Rich, you ready to get this thing going?
I'm ready.
All right, let's get this thing started. Let's go.
It's all objective to be effective by voicing societies. Working perspective, exploring your day and how you get paid. Launching a new episode every Tuesday. Your day can transform while we inform with new episodes available on every platform. So check out our vibe and how we get live. Then do us a solid. Share and subscribe. Would you share it? Would you share it? Would you share it? Working Perspectives.
All right. On the show today, we have Shawn Williams joining us from Renzo Gracie Nashville, right?
Correct.
So in the link of this description, or in the description of this video and this episode, we're going to have links to Renzo Gracie Nashville, Shawn Williams BJJ on all the social media platforms and YouTube. Check them out. Really good stuff. Shawn, thanks for being here. How are you?
Pleasure, man. Thank you.
Good.
I'm great, man. Thanks for both for having me.
Hey, man. Pleasure to have you. We love doing this. So, okay. So we were talking a little bit before, but I want to get a little background on you for everybody. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Northeast Indiana, so just a little bit south of Fort Wayne in the boonies.
Oh, wow.
The boonies of Rockford, Indiana. Yeah.
You're like near French Lick,
literally
right?
out in the middle of nowhere.
That's corn, right?
That's corn.
That's corn. That's corn.
Man, oh my God. Dude, I've been to like the Poconos and stuff, and even when you're out there and like the boonies, I was like, how do people live out here?
It's different. It's different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so you grew up there, and like what kind of sports and stuff were you doing as a kid?
So I liked all sports, but I played baseball as a youth. I did soccer, but then really what became sort of the sport that I excelled in was swimming.
Oh,
I did swimming.
Well,
yeah. I know, but I was just too short to be a real world-class swimmer.
I mean, you're not
I
Michael
was going to
Phelps,
say for your smaller size too for the area.
Yeah, that's right. So
bunch of corn fed out there. Yeah.
I did them all. I played football, but swimming was the one that I took to more than anything else.
Nice, dude. I'll tell you, that is no joke, swimming.
No.
That is a workout and a half, man.
I did Zumba.
Yeah.
That can be challenging.
That's it.
Yeah. Rich, you remember that one time? God, you took Sid swimming. Remember that?
Oh my God. You know he's getting swimming lessons now.
Oh, is he really?
Yeah.
So Sydney Outlaw,
Yeah.
he's you know him, right? Fights for Bellator. He was on the show, and this was what was this, Rich? 10 years ago? Something like that?
Probably longer than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he told me he could swim. We get to the pool, and then he's like, I said, let me just see it. And it was horrible. I'm like, no, you're going to drown both of us.
Yeah.
Freaking way.
That's right.
I went up to the front desk to get the little, the swim, the
swimmies.
water
Yeah.
things, and they didn't happen to get over his big ass arms because they're meant for little kids. He's like, I can do it without it. I don't need. I'm like, hell no. So went back to the pool, and I was like, no, we're not going any further than up to your waist. That we're done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, Rocky swam.
Yeah,
right.
Sure.
He learned
Rocky
to swim.
does
Yep.
Rocky 3, yeah.
He's learning to swim now.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. I will tell you because swimming. So a little known fact, if you're not a swimmer, that when you swim, one of the main benefits from swimming is your lung capacity.
Oh.
It grows. So why is that? Because you're breathing out through resistance. So if you're not a swimmer, what you do is you inhale when you turn to the side, or I had to swim butterfly. That was my that was horrible. But when you breathe, you're breathing in the air, right? When you put your head down, you are now exhaling to get ready for your next breath. So you exhale the entire time when your head is in the water.
Yeah.
So water is resistance. So imagine you're like this. You have to exhale through that.
So you're exhaling into the water.
Through resistance. So the water is your resistance. That's why people don't realize that.
I didn't know that.
So when you're swimming and you're breathing, that's resistance. And then that's resistance. The water is your resistance, like a training mask.
Yeah.
So that's, people don't realize that. That's why the lung capacity of swimmers is humongous.
Yeah.
Because you're breathing through
that
resistance.
Helped you out when doing jiu-jitsu.
That helps you with everything. It's got it, right?
Very little known fact, but that's why your lung capacity.
We're finding a lot of UFC athletes, Bellator athletes are all learning to swim now.
Yeah.
You go to the Y and you got the 80-year-old guy doing laps and buzzing by. You do one and you're like,
that's right. Yeah. That's right. Besides the muscular endurance that it builds, like that's the main benefit of swimming.
And my body type, I'm a sinker.
Yeah,
and like the more muscle you have, you got to keep moving. You can't. And Sid ran into that too. Apparently, just even too, like for some reason of ethnicity, they say higher muscle, higher dense bone. You want to sink.
Yeah,
Your body type, ideal, Matt.
Right.
I mean, not saying anything.
No.
The excess hair.
Oh yeah. God.
Got a lot
We get rid of this hair. I'll tell you,
body hair.
I'll tell you this: when I was fighting, we would, before weigh-ins, they make you shave your. I'm not gonna lie.
Amateur boxing.
Under this sweater, I got another sweater.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. But they would make you shave your body hair, especially when when we fought in the cage. I had to shave my body hair, and it was a half a pound. When I shaved it. So I was like,
he took off his shirt, and the athletic commissioner here in Pennsylvania, Greg Serb, just went, oh my God. I always just say, you got to be the first one in your family walking upright, man.
Yeah.
So I didn't even know. I'm like, I have no idea. He's like, he needs to get that. He's got to get rid of that.
Yeah.
So they worry about the infection and stuff like that. And ringworm being hidden from it.
Right. Yeah.
So
makes sense.
But you could tell he's never seen nothing like that. He's half Neanderthal.
Yeah. My wife is like immune to it now, but at first she's like, well, "Are you in gorilla or something?"
Yeah.
Hey, man,
a couple of those suckers in the back there.
Yeah.
Right.
So okay. So like you were saying, back then you're doing swimming, concentrating on that. And then did you go to college or?
I did. I just went to a branch of Indiana and Purdue University just because I had no idea what I was going to do with myself. And then I went to a school in upstate New York in Cortland. New York.
Sticking in the boonies.
Yep.
All right.
And then that's when I saw that Renzo, I actually was at Cortland when I went home for fall break. I saw Renzo fight on TV. In the World Combat Championships. That was 95. That's when I stepped on Vince Piker's head.
No shit.
And then I was like, whoa, I don't know what I'm doing, but this looks like I should do this more.
Yeah.
I've seen UFC before, but that sort of gave me a little bit of
his intensity.
Yeah.
Man,
different intensity than Hoist, right?
Yeah, 100%. And I did karate when I was 12, like a little blend of karate, and he fought a lot different. And I was like, that looks cool. I need to think. And then I saw him. He was opening a school. So
he was a
year after that. I was in New York City.
More of attacking, right?
Yeah, you got to see. So Hoist reminded me of more of a counter wrestler or a counter puncher, and then you got to see Renzo. More of an offensive fighter.
That's right.
And that's kind of when you're a young guy, you're like, oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Charged up. Yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
100%.
So okay, so you came back home, you saw the fight, you're like, this is for me. And then you knew you were going back to New York, and Renzo had the gym in New York.
Yeah,
right?
like shortly after, I think near this summer, I had a Black Belt magazine because and they had an ad in the magazine. So I said, oh, New York City. maybe I should go visit there. So I visited there that summer of '96.
Okay.
Met him.
Yeah.
Of course, he's an amazing human being.
Yeah.
And then I switched schools and moved to New York City to go to college, to train jiu-jitsu and go to college.
Yeah.
That's it.
You lived right up there in the city, though.
No, so for the first bit, I lived in Staten Island.
Oh,
yeah. Because I was from Indiana. I mean, upstate Cortland is no different than Indiana.
Right. Yeah.
So I went and visited, and I was like terrified from a tiny town. I was terrified. I'm like, when I went my first visit, we stayed in New Jersey. I stayed in New Jersey, took the train across because I was like, I'm not going to drive in this crazy city.
Hell no.
And so then I looked at the newspaper, found a place in Staten Island. It was more like home, I guess you could say.
Like a house in
the smell to it.
More suburban.
More suburban. So then, I got into school there and then commuted to New York every day.
Wow. And you just did the train.
Just did the bus to the ferry to the train for a long time, for 2-3 years, and then I moved to Queens, and then that would be like Queens, and then it was in Queens for a little bit. One little tiny more stint in Staten Island, and then in Weehawken.
Okay.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
What was the drive from Staten Island to Henzo's? Did you drive or take the train?
I didn't drive. So I took the bus, which was 20 minutes to the ferry. Then the ferry, then the Staten Island ferry across the water.
Okay.
And then a train from ferry terminal all the way up to Henzo. So it was an hour 25 altogether.
One way. It took you as much time as me living here.
No shit.
Yeah, because I was telling him I used to just go right up to the Charcoal Diner.
Yeah, I did.
Which they had a couple famous presidents. Clinton was there before, but that was the Charcoal Diner. Get the bus, and was it Bieber bus or something like that? You go right to the Port Authority, and then he was right on 37th and 8th, 3 blocks down. Boom, right there. And you had all your, I think if 40th Street was the Looney Tune house that they would let people out, and my wife would stare at them. I go, "Don't stare at them because they're gonna come over and then ask you for money."
That's right.
She was fascinated by it. She's like, "I can't help it." Like, I'm like, "Oh my god!"
Am I right? In the car crash. Yeah. Damn. Okay, so. So we've talked to a bunch of people before. I mean, maybe not on the show, but before, where your idea of going into jiu-jitsu, what was your initial idea? And then what was it actually like when you got there?
So, I saw UFC. So I always thought it was very fascinating because I did martial arts, and I was always like trying to toy around with it. I saw Henzo's videos before I actually knew that he was opening a school. So that was even more of a reason, like, well, that's the guy I just saw in the video.
Yeah.
I should go learn from him. Yeah, that's right. Correct. And so I knew what it was because I'd seen it. And then when I went to do the first class, I guess it was what I thought it would be. I mean, he's an incredible human being. Yeah. He taught great, and we just went at it. It was like 6 o'clock was a class. We had a 6 o'clock class. It ended at 7, and then there was rolling around until 10 or 10:30 until you retired. So there's a noon class and a 6 class, and eventually within the first month I was doing unlimited trainings.
And how old were you when
I was 21?
Oh, so okay, so you could do back-to-back training then. It's not,
It was survival of the fittest. And there was no easy.
Everyone there was like a dog, like getting at, but like it wasn't. It's the attitude it is here, where it's like, hey, we're gonna train hard, but no one's there being an asshole and like wanting to hurt anyone, right?
No, it was just battle. Everybody just wanted to battle. It wasn't. I don't think there were anybody that intentionally tried. It's just battle, and it was just let's go.
Yeah, like very athletic, aggressive. What they seen on TV, I think, is what they were conveying in the class. Obviously you don't have as much technique, so you're a lot more aggressive. Always were kind of at that same point where you had some technique, but you were still kind of honing skills and learning skills.
100%.
So of course you're going to go harder because that's all you know.
You know what I mean? You only know 100 miles.
And he encouraged aggression. Guys got to the wall, and I remember guys like standing up on the wall, and he was like, "No, don't back off and let him come back out." That's finished.
Yeah, keep going.
Yeah,
that's great though. That's that's where the reputation.
You could take him into another group of people and be like,
no problem.
Beautiful technique. I remember my wife. You seen a guy get picked up and literally almost dropped on his head. And she's like, "That's what I mean." He goes, "What are you kidding me? That was beautiful." Like it didn't even register with him. It's like, that's not what I'm talking about.
Yeah, we want people. I mean, well, there is the thought, and we've talked about it, where people see this and like they're intimidated at first, and they don't realize like it's a community that you're coming into, and like there's rules and like unspoken rules and regulations with everyone that trains here. But when you first started, you're getting into it. Did you have like you're 21, so you could go back to back to back. You're training hard. Did you have any ideas of getting into like? Like I know UFC was still young at that point, but any idea of like fighting or anything like that at that time?
No, so I mean, I did it because I saw it as a fighting art, and then, but I didn't have any expectations. I really enjoyed it. So when I started, it was
right?
naturally.
No,
we had 50-50.
Oh, okay,
back then I think we were the only academy that was doing that much.
Yeah.
50 gi, 50% gi, 50% no gi.
Yep.
Okay.
And I just, when I started training, I just loved it. I just fell in love with it and just thought I want to be the best guy that I can be.
Yeah.
There were really no very few competitions to be done at that time.
Yeah.
So I just trained. I mean, I was just like, let me just get as good as I can at this.
The first one was Grappler's Quest, and it was called
like, what was the crap? New York Grapple
Ground Zero
or something like
Ground Zero something, and then it went to the Grappler's Quest, which is Brian Sims.
That's right.
And then Naga came off of that, spawned off of that.
That's right.
Do you guys remember when you guys met?
Let's see. What year would you come in? Did you come in at the methadone class?
Yeah, 97.
So,
what is
sometime in 97?
Yeah.
What is the methadone clinic?
Or did you come in at Peggy's? Did you come to Peggy's where the Kung Fu school?
No. So just as he moved from that.
Yeah. So 98-ish.
Yeah, so he was the Kung Fu school. And
yeah.
He was there for a year or so, right? At that.
He was there for about a year and a half, I think.
And then, so that was like 95 or 96.
Yeah, 96.
And then 97 is when he opened up at the
methadone
on the 5th floor. Yeah. It's crazy to say that because none of us knew what that was.
Yeah.
A hot dog stand outside with, I used to go, don't eat any of the hot dogs because the guy goes over in the car lot in the little alley there and pisses. So, and he doesn't wash hands, so don't eat the hot dogs. They're going to have a wangy taste to them. So
they got that authentic wiener taste.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
That's it.
So I go, do not touch them. Do not touch the pretzels across the street either.
That's the next
and do not stare at any of the people standing outside that are about ready to fall over. Right?
Yeah, that's right. Something happens with that where they actually don't fall over. But But John and I went with Renzo to see that place, and we. This is like a testament to Renzo's vision.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. Because John and I went to see that and we were just like, what are you even thinking? It was like a black box because it was all painted black. Obviously there was something weird there before in that area.
It wasn't well kept.
The area was, the building itself was crumbling and the whole suite was pitch black, windows painted black. And the floor like this, and we were like, "Renzo, what are you even talking about?" And he fixed it up, and man, those were some good days. Turned into like an epic place where the school really hit big growth.
Yeah.
How long would you think it was? I mean, it was still there after 9/11. So that 2001,
2002, I think, is when we moved to the base
30th, right?
What?
Right? So it's 97. So it was 5 years
to 2002.
Wow.
And he probably quadrupled.
Oh yeah.
Oh, so he was like almost forced to move.
One bathroom.
Yeah. It was like, and
try getting in there.
There was a restroom and a locker room.
Yeah.
And like I was saying, so the first month that we opened, he opened it in January, and we had no heat for a month. No heat or no hot water. So we would just jog on the mat to warm it up. Like you guys were saying, it's hot in here. It's because the body's warm. Take us like 20 minutes. We warmed it up. Everybody had to wear socks because the mat was literally like a block of ice.
Yeah,
but those were good days, man.
Yeah.
That's man.
They're spoiled now, right?
They are, yeah.
So wait, do you know? I mean, if you were at the initial
27th Street was where we were.
The 27th Street
Kung Fu School.
Do you know? Like, you must have been like one of the first 100 people that he had.
I would imagine, yeah. So when I started in October '96. There was Matt Serra was a blue belt, and there were a few blue belts around scattered.
Silver Fox was there too.
Silver Fox was there already. Yep. So John had started a couple months before.
Had hair.
Yeah. Looked like Robin Williams.
Yep, he did.
But he did. Right? So yeah, and
he was a pretty big guy too.
Yeah. One of the things that was funny, there was only a class pack back then when we first started. So it was $300 for 14 classes. So I was a broke kid, and I couldn't afford more than twice a week. That was as much as I could go.
Yeah.
But when they first started the Unlimited, one of our very good buddies, his name is Andrew Owens, an old school guy, was one of the first groups to start Unlimited. So if you're doing jujitsu now and you're training 2-3 days a week, you will not keep up with the people that are doing every week, and it's okay. Don't. It's a good balance. You got to do what you can with the life balance.
Yeah.
But that's when it really, I was like, oh my gosh, the more, if you do it like that, you get good at such a crazy rate, because we were all relatively the same. And then a month later, he was just kicking our butt like we didn't know anything. It's pretty fascinating. And then everybody jumped on the Unlimited bandwagon at that point.
He used to have Magno with the cigar box.
That's right.
You know?
What did he have in the cigar?
So little Magno, who was a little kid at the time, and I'm going to tell you 10, 11 years old.
This is Renzo's son?
No, just
a student. I think he was just
Oh,
and then Karen would collect the money and count it for him, and then you'd sign your name, and then you would pay. I think it was $25.
Yep.
And it would go in the pot, and then she would collect that every class, or whoever else was up there. Like a Saturday, she would do it. But Magno, and I remember one time people put their name on, they didn't pay, and Magno brought the box back, and she looked at it, counted it, and then she started doing this.
Yeah.
And then she came walking out on the mat. It was a Saturday. And I'm sitting next to Enzo, and he sees it, and she's like, Enzo, stop. And he's looking at me, no, Karen, it's okay. We'll take care of it at the end of the class. Not a big deal. Oh, no. I was like, oh, my God. I wanted to crawl into a corner. Oh, my God. And he just went like, okay. And she went, and she got those people to pay up.
Yeah. It was.
If they didn't. She got them off the mat.
Yeah.
And then they knew then and there that they had to pay when they come.
yeah.
Because he's struggling too. He's coming here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Fair is fair. And there was people like that.
Oh yeah, there was.
They would come in and
That's
steal
everywhere.
and signed up.
100%.
Yeah.
I managed a school for a little while right in the beginning, and the only thing that I did was make people pay, because he was just a kind-hearted person and just loved jiu-jitsu. So he just whenever people could. So, and it was a game changer, I think, for him and the school, because it really helped him
grow
easier
expand
and expand.
The people that had the money that could pay are the ones that weren't. It
That's
wasn't
right.
like somebody. Oh yeah, it wasn't like some kid that was
yeah.
in college and struggling.
No,
but really, he would have bent over backwards for them.
Yeah.
It was the ones that had the money that wouldn't.
That's right.
Would he
That's
do
right.
so? Rich did this. I know for me, you did it, and you did it for a lot of guys. Where like I started coming here when I was like, I guess like maybe 22, right, something like that. And there would be I could only pay in cash because I didn't have a credit card or anything.
Yeah.
And I was like, Rich, can I pay in cash? And I pay month, and like I'd miss a month here, miss a month there, and then I was like, hey, Rich, I don't know what I could do. You know, is there anything? And he's like, yeah, start teaching classes and doing this.
Yeah,
and then we worked it out that way, where it's like. So Renzo would do that too?
100%. Yeah. Give people opportunities.
Yeah.
You help in a way, and that would essentially help pay for their membership through whatever.
Yeah. And you knew
that for me.
Yeah, you knew you were there all the time.
Yes.
Right? Like, and you're like a good, like, I felt like if you're a positive add to the school,
Yes.
Yeah.
right, and you're hanging out and you want to, and you're committed and you're learning and you're doing all this, then there's nothing wrong with that,
No.
right? Like you're giving back in a way, and also it's
You're
like,
always giving.
yeah,
You're always giving back.
Yeah.
And that's the way it should be.
yeah.
Absolutely.
I think that's kind of what the culture is, right? Like
It
it's a
should
big
be
give
like
back
that.
culture.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's the ones that have it that want to just keep taking.
Yeah.
They don't want to give back.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why everybody has so much respect for Renzo. Not only probably one of the best teachers in the world, made jiu-jitsu like simple,
Yeah.
but one of the nicest guys
100%.
and very giving.
Yeah.
And gives everybody second, third chance. He probably when they didn't even deserve it.
Yeah.
But he was taking the shirt off his back when he didn't even have a shirt.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So
that says it honestly, like from what everyone said and his reputation in general, Renzo is just like the best guy. Like you told the story, what he did on your episode, what he did with Karen and everything. Like he just seems like a great guy, but it really seems like he passes that along to different schools. Like you would do that at your school, I assume, and things like that. And one of the things Rich preaches here is that if you're a higher belt, you're not in here to put it out on some guy that is less skilled. You're here to help. Like, yeah, if you can sub them, show them how you did it afterwards, right? Or something like that. Yeah. You know, like it's always passing on the information. But so let's go back to it. So you started when you were 21, right? You're at the first school at the Kung Fu school?
27th Street first. And then we went to the Kung Fu school shortly after
I'd love to see a list of like the guys that were there and like where they are now.
Yeah. My teachers were So when I was there, shortly after, there was a guy named Vinny there that was a teacher for a short time.
Yeah.
And then he had to go back to Brazil. But then, then there was Rodrigo Gracie, Ricardo Almeida, Matt Serra. Those were my and Renzo taught every night class. So
Matt and Ricardo are probably purple belts.
Yeah,
belts?
purple. Matt got his purple about 6 months after I started, and then Rodrigo came to replace Vinny, who was a brown belt, and then Ricardo got his brown belt, and it's just like, it's just
Rodrigo was great too.
Oh my goodness, yes,
yeah,
not on time, but he was great.
Oh yeah,
I love
all of them were exceptional teachers.
Yep.
Yeah.
And all of them were exceptionally skilled.
Wow, even so the method. So it was the Kung Fu School, Methadone Clinic, and then where he is now on 30th Street, right?
Yeah.
Is okay.
So from Madison Square Garden.
Yeah,
that's not a bad spot to be.
Yeah.
No.
So you guys are at the Methadone Clinic. Everything's going great there. Do you remember like your first belt progression when you went from a white belt to a blue or blue to a purple?
Yeah.
Do you remember like what it took to get there? Was it just coming every day and grinding, or did you have like a mindset of like, I need to accomplish this to get this?
My only mindset was I want to be the best at this I can be. That's what it was. And I sacrificed a lot, which I would never, like, if I did it all again, I'd do it all again. But that would never be for everyone, because I put everything behind learning jiu-jitsu, just because that's what I wanted to do when I was that age. So I was literally training probably 6 to 8 hours a day. So I got,
you must have just been like
a black belt pretty quick.
Yeah, I got my blue belt in 6 months, but then I was a blue belt for 3.5 years. I had some injuries in the middle of that, where I had to just sit and watch. And then I was a purple belt for 11 months. I was a brown belt for 6. So I got my black belt in 5 years.
Damn, that's pretty good.
But I was there from 7 a.m. until 11 p.m. I mean, like I said, I think mat hour wise, if you looked at it mat hour wise, I don't think it would be any quicker than anyone else hour wise.
Yeah.
I just did it all in a very
time. You're able to okay, I see what you're saying. Like you were there so much that the hours added up. That
sleep on the mat.
Yeah, I did sleep on the mat. Let me tell you a story about the
okay, go. Yeah.
So one time I'm like, okay, I started the 7 a.m. class. There's a guy named Silver Fox that just bugged the living crap out of me.
Yeah.
And he said, you got to start a 7 a.m. class.
Yeah.
I'm like, Carl, I'm already here from literally like 11 a.m. until near 11 a.m.
This is at the Methadone Clinic?
This is at the Methadone Clinic.
Okay.
And he's like, yeah, but like, I'll know I'll grow this. I'll know I'll grow it. And I'm like, all right. And so I said, okay, if we start a 7 a.m. class on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, like, yeah, of course. I'm like, okay, let's do it.
Yep.
So, I'm there until 11 o'clock. And then I think it's on a winter. Yeah, PM. And just like,
wait, 7 a.m. to 11 p.m.?
Yeah. So one of the days I was like, I'm too tired to go home. I'm just going to sleep here and just teach in the morning. I get up at 6. At least I can sleep till 6, because where I lived, I had to get up at like 4:30 or 5. So I'm like, at least I can sleep till 6. I'm just going to sleep on the mats overnight. So I like lay down. I'm out. Right. I feel this little like that. I look, and it's this humongous rat. I mean, it's the Methadone Clinic, to the hallway. Of course, it's just full of whatever. And this guy is like this on my face. And I was like, so thankfully,
dinner.
Thankfully,
he was looking at him like he was.
Yeah, dinner. I probably would have ate him at that time.
You haven't seen the rats up there.
They're huge. He was huge.
They're like the size of Ruger.
Yeah, I mean, he was biting my head. He was eating my hair. And so when I woke up, it scared him, and he ran out. I let him out down the hallway.
He's probably used to seeing so many like dipped out Methadone guys.
Well, you either had them taking the elevator up to the 5th floor. Yeah. Or you had the rats to deal with. I never seen any of them. I've seen the whack jobs come up on the elevator.
Yeah, that's the Methadone.
Good story.
Sometimes they would hit the button and go. So from the 1st to the 5th, all the floors in between, there was nobody in the very beginning. But every year,
somebody would forget to get off sleeping in the elevator, forget to get off on the 2nd floor, and then they would pop up.
Did you ever have that when you slept there, where they just got out and walked out?
Not when I was sleeping, because I locked the elevator, but what John and I we taught the noon class at the Methadone class when we took over the noon class, and on a regular basis, I mean, they would just like walk in completely dazed
like
and
zombies,
confused, and we'd have to walk them back in.
They grabbed the cash the one time.
Yeah, sometimes.
They came in, hit the thing, and ran back in the.
Yeah. There had been a couple of them that woke up on the 2nd floor.
Yeah.
Like take a ride back down. We would hit the second button. They'd be sleeping, not from drugs, but
I remember
sleeping and wake up, and then they
Aaron screaming one time, and Renzo heard her in the elevator coming up, but they got in the elevator with her.
Yeah.
And
she's
they were
like,
just, they were just trying to talk to her. This and that. She's like,
yeah.
He goes, he heard her on the first floor coming up the elevator, and it opened. He quick ran in, grabs her, hit the button, threw them back in there, and sent them back down to the first floor.
Yeah, harmless, but
Yeah,
but if
they were odd. You knew there was issues.
Yeah.
You didn't even knew what methadone was. He just told me maybe a year or two ago that it was something that was on there about positive health care, and I just was like, I thought that was always a nice little slogan. It was right on the door, like positive health care. He goes, no, that was HIV positive, Rich.
Yeah,
that's nice. Positive health care. She's something along those lines.
Yeah. HIV positive.
Yeah. I was
like,
yeah. There were some battles done there, that's for sure.
Oh, I
don't eat the hot dogs or the pretzels.
Yeah,
you learn that though. Right now, let's say you're like. You would end up moving to California though, right?
Yeah.
Where did you move? So was it New York to California? Was there somewhere in between?
That's correct. New York to California.
Okay.
So 2004. Well, 2005 is when I moved. I had a conversation with Renzo about it. I'm not from New York, so New York was wearing and tearing on me. But I had a conversation. I said, "What do you think? What is it? You think this would be a good idea to do it?" And he's like, "I love LA. Let's go. Get out of school over there. Let's go. We need a West Coast." So I was like, "All right, well then." That's it. Then I'm going. So it was a whim like that. Yeah. Seriously, there wasn't any thought behind it. It was a whim.
And the idea was to go over there and open up a school.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh wow.
Any connections there at all? No ties.
No. So a friend of mine was
really.
So here's what happened. A friend of mine was a kid's movie star, right? And he was going. So. He was one of my students
or something.
No, he was on the Sandlot, but I don't remember actually. It may have been a bad kid. He turned into be all right, maybe not a bad guy. Anyway,
that's a classic.
One of the
he was going out there, and he had a buddy that had said, hey, you can have a school in my father's karate school. Like, we're good. We got 10 people ready to go.
Okay,
so I was like, well,
which means they had
cool.
Three.
Yeah, that's cool. Like that would at least.
Yeah, at least you got somewhere
to
train,
cool.
somewhere to go.
Some people. I visited LA already, and I was like, wow, this is a great place. Yep. Didn't really know much about it, but I thought it was a nice weather. So I went on that, and when I got there, you were correct. There was nobody. So we had a training session at that school with this fella. And his what come to short story is his father had no idea that this guy had said that. So when I tried to make it happen, I went to his dad because there was some frustrations. I said, well, what's going on here? I need a schedule. We can't keep changing it every day. And he's like, I don't even know who you are.
No.
So I'm like, all right. So I got LA'd from the very beginning, but luckily enough, I had a very good friend, one of Gene Dunn's childhood buddies. Had a place in Redondo, and
nice,
wonderful. So I started a program there, and then moved into Hollywood, where another one of my friends and students basically gave me a school.
Oh wow!
And then that had its own craziness.
How band guys? Usually a lot of band guys out there.
No, this was another movie guy.
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
And
can you say who it is?
That went really very south.
Okay,
all right. I gave him a black belt, and no, it's like I can say who it is. His name's Sean Patrick Flannery. He was
Shut
Powder.
up.
Yeah.
Really, from Boondock Saints, Sean Patrick Flannery?
Yeah. No, yeah. So he was my student.
You ever seen Boondock Saints?
Yeah.
Oh
great
my
movie.
God. Great movie.
Okay, now I'm gonna watch it.
Great movie.
Second one, not so much.
And and like, to not get all into it, he really took advantage of what I did, and was a bad ending. It was a bad. He had some very bad things going on in his life, and he thought he misinterpreted. I wanted to expand, so I was like, we got to get out of this. I grew that school from 0 people up to 120 students, but it was literally 2,000 square foot. I mean, it was so when I took it, it was like 1,100 square foot place.
Yeah,
I doubled it, and because of what was going on with him at the time,
small.
What was going on with him at the time?
Yeah,
I distanced myself because I didn't care so much for it.
Yeah.
And then he misinterpreted. I'm planning on moving, so I'm saving up money in the school to get out and get a bigger space.
Yeah.
And he misinterpreted that as I was gonna like move away. I don't know what his thought was, but anyway, boom, bad and horrible ending.
Right. Yeah.
And so then
Drugs will do that.
yeah,
Yeah.
my new school, which was then called 5-Star Martial Arts / Renzo Gracie Los Angeles. That's when it happened.
All right.
And so then it was a silver lining in a very poor exchange of time.
It's usually how it works.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it is, and it's
You muster
unfortunate.
through.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate that that happens a lot. But when you're not from a business background
Mhm.
and you're dealing with someone that is business savvy,
Yeah.
I think you let yourself open to these things through
Yep.
some big
You
trust.
think everything's going to be?
Mhm.
Oh yeah, they're
That's
good.
right.
They're good people.
They're good for it.
Exactly.
And
Yes.
it was a mistake I made on my end, but since then I've learned a lot, some very valuable
That's
lessons.
that's all part of the business
Yeah,
game.
it is.
It's a lot of learning the hard
Used
way.
to be called falling outs.
Yeah.
Oh, they had a falling out.
Yeah.
There's a lot to falling out. So
Yeah,
that's it.
yeah.
Oh,
Not
man.
uncommon as business, not as much as
Right.
it used to be, but
That's right.
in the early
So-
stages, everybody jockeying.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You would see a lot of that.
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So
Look-
then the real school came where I had space and it built, and I had a very good following. Great people. around me.
How many years did you like? How long do you think that took?
That was so I had
Because you were out there in 05, you
yeah,
said? Okay.
and I had that for almost 5 years,
Oh,
and then in 2010 is when I opened up the other one, the new one.
And where was that one located?
That was in Wilshire Boulevard,
Oh,
in Hancock
nice.
Park. So it was on Wilshire, right where Crenshaw stops at Wilshire.
Oh, wow.
Area called Hancock Park,
Nice.
and it was a beautiful area, and that's where we grew.
Oh man, and that's where it got huge, huh?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it's crazy to think like, and I know, I think the one big scare of jiu-jitsu now is that, and I'm not trying to shit on karate, but that it'll turn into like how karate did, where people lost respect for it. But I don't think that's like the way, unless it's like the branded names. You gotta stick with the branded names. Like those ones will come through because they're all legit. Like I know there's these Joe Shit the Ragman schools that are like, you know what I mean? That like they're the ones giving jiu-jitsu like.
Smoke screen and mirrors.
Yeah.
They change it from karate to Brazilian jiu-jitsu or MMA.
Yeah,
But I think the policing
Yes.
among the jiu-jitsu community,
Yes.
it's pretty good.
it's
Yes.
pretty good. You
Yeah.
can be in the middle of nowhere
Pretty good.
and they'll know who you are
Mhm.
Yeah,
and be like, what is it like a site called bullshit something or other?
Bushido, right?
That's it. That's it.
So,
Yeah,
what
Bushido.
is that?
Yeah.
Bushido will call you right out
Yep.
if you're some
So-
black belt. Yeah,
What?
Yep. Yep. And I've
That's
seen
great,
people get
though.
called out, but
It is.
yeah, so you have that. You know what I mean?
I think it has to do too with the people who the head of the school. You do what Rich does here. You do what we've done, and
Mhm.
you keep people at a high skill set. And it's difficult to get your belts. It's not like just you show up and you get it. You got to do the work for it, and there's requirements, and you're held to a responsibility. You got to take some responsibility.
Hey, damn,
Yeah.
man, you got to earn it. Rich, you're a big advocate of that. You've said, and you've said this before, and over the years, even here, where it's like, some people would give belts away to keep people coming. And but you don't like, you really kick back against that. Like, oh no, if you're not showing up, you're not working, you're not getting shit.
That's right.
I don't care how long you've been a
right.
member
I don't
here.
care how good you are either.
That's
Yeah,
right. It's
yeah.
the other way around. It's when you keep coming, you get the rank. Not you
Yes.
get the rank to keep coming.
Yes.
That's where people have it in their head backwards. That's when you ask me, like, what did I have in my mind? I had no belts, nothing in my brain, nothing.
Yeah.
I just had, I want to be as good as I can be at this, and that's it. It'll all take care of itself as long as you're doing what you need to do.
Yeah.
I think the people that think like that,
Yes.
it does not work out for them.
No.
No.
Can't.
Because it
Can't.
becomes difficult.
Yeah.
You're tired, you're sore, you're getting up the next day to do the same thing.
Yeah.
You're driving
Mhm.
an hour and a half or riding in a bus or a
Mhm.
train or a subway or whatever.
Mhm.
Long trips, get out, even though you're young, you're still getting stiff, you're kind of
Yeah.
getting beat up, It's a grind, but you enjoy it. So I always go,
Yes.
that's the difference between a passion
Yes.
and a hobbyist. A
Yes.
passion, you're thinking about how to train. You could have broken bone. How to get this cast off the train. A hobbyist will think, oh shit, well, yeah, I could use a break right now. Yeah, and I mean, I enjoy it, but the weather's not really that nice. It's cold, so I don't really want to get out.
Yeah.
But I enjoy it.
Yeah.
That's kind of the difference.
Perfect example. And we talked about this the other day. We have a guy in this gym, and I want to shout him out. His name is Bruce Talbot, right?
Yes.
And this, like, there's been people that have been here like, oh, I got a stub toe or bullshit, and I don't want to train.
Ethan was here today.
Oh,
The blonde hair guy that
Daniel.
shook your hand at Daniel at the end.
Great
Said
kid.
he had to go.
Yeah.
Great kid.
So it's his dad that trains with us too.
Nice.
Yeah.
So his dad had like major complications and had like life-threatening
Had
surgery.
cancer surgery.
Yeah. And had like complications with the I don't want to air shit, but had complications with the surgery and where he had to go back. Like he was on death's door.
Yep.
Right. And he was like maybe 2 weeks out and he was trying to come back. And we had to be like, hey, you can't come in here right now. Like, Bruce, we want you back. But
58 or 59.
Yeah.
Like that old mentality.
Oh,
Train.
Yes.
And
you love it.
yeah.
And he's one of the best guys. And you'll see Daniel's a great kid. And he's just like, I mean, that's the kind of attitude you want. Those are the guys.
I wish I can convey that to the young kids.
Oh my
Like,
God.
he just has that everything else. Like he's going through it again right now. Another treatment.
Yeah.
And like I told his son, hey, he wants to come in and do a private, whatever. I'm here for him.
Yeah.
Whatever he wants to do, whatever's going to keep him going.
Same.
And he's like, I told him he's just got to get himself past the point, but he's going to be in. This is what he wants to get back and
chomping at the bit. And like I love too. He's one of the guys I wish, like, I don't know if we should start doing this, and I think everyone in Henzo should do this, and then we should make like a social media page of before and afters, baby.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God. Because Bruce came in, he was almost 300 pounds. Like he was a big, he had like a beer cut. Now he's made of wood, man.
Yeah. And that's what helped him get through some of.
Oh, had he not gotten in shape, he even said he's like he doesn't know if he would have survived.
Yeah, he probably would have died.
Yeah. You had the same thing when you got sick, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, I ended up with pneumonia and bacterial pneumonia last year. I almost died. I lost 50 pounds, Shawn. Best diet. Wait, less. Maybe I just did like a little bit of
best diet.
But I was on oxygen. I think my oxygen levels went down to like they were in the 70s. They said most people aren't even.
Yeah. Not even.
Close. And I believe me, I was ready to collapse. I could feel it, but I had it, and I knew that I was probably sick, but I was not testing positive for COVID anymore. So I was like, oh, okay, I'm through. Boom. I'm in training. And it was a Friday, and my brother was sitting here. I had two young guys that I did a lesson with, and I would train with them ahead of time. They were young, just like 19, 20 years old. I just toss them around, have fun with them. You know what I mean? And my brother's like, I've never seen you so exhausted, Rich. You look, face was bright red. I felt like I was working on one lung. Yeah. Well, like 3 days later, I ended up in the hospital. Jeez. And here I was working on one lung. Whoa. But that in itself got the pneumonia going. And here they didn't realize I had bacterial pneumonia too. Jeez. So I had pneumonia, then bacterial pneumonia. And so it was like packed. 2 months. Yeah. They gave me a 3% chance of making it. Yeah. Holy cow. I remember the doctor, and they said I'm probably going to need a lung transplant. And I remember the doctor telling me, and I had oxygen tubes. I'm like, okay, so tell me, when do you think I could get back in and train?
He's like, what?
Yeah, I just said,
he said you're never going to train again, didn't he?
Yeah, he said you're going to need a lung transplant if you do live. And I'm like, okay, so when do you think?
Get
to eat? And that's
people. I'll tell you, the one phrase that you hear the kids say all the time is "built different." That's the truth, man. If you're in here and if you're passionate about it and you love it, this stuff changes lives.
Yes, it does.
It changes lives. Like, look at what it's done for you guys, just you two here, let alone the thousands and maybe millions of people. But like, you were just a kid, you're in upstate New York doing whatever. You saw this on TV, and then it became like a life passion that, you do what you love. You never work a day in your life, right? Yeah. Now it's like you've never been happier. You got your
travel
school,
the globe now.
Travel the globe. Yeah. And now you're doing, like you did a seminar here today. I mean, it's incredible, like what this can give you. But it's the passion that fueled this, right? And it's the love for it. I mean, that's when you find that, you can kind of do anything. But that's the kind of people that
you find when the new guys talk about the old times at the Blue Basement, and I go, no,
that's not the
old time. No, it would be the Kung Fu School, and then the crazy times at the Methadone clinic. Yeah, I mean, that's the real.
I mean, that would be something. That's something where, like, I mean, just talking about like the Henzo originals, God, that's a TV show or movie in itself.
Grew up.
Yeah,
you're going there and you got a methadone clinic.
Oh my!
You're going to train one of the best martial artists in the world. and you got to fight through that crowd on top of just the whole scene of New York.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I was kind of somewhat used to see, like, because I was originally from the city. I was originally from Philadelphia, Roxbury, Manayunk, and with the Holy Family.
Yeah.
So I was kind of used to the city, you know?
Not me.
But yeah,
you're like, my backyard was 14 acres of wood.
Yeah. And my wife was the same way as you were. She was very shocked.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But she got used to it over the years, coming up and doing stuff. Like she would take trips down to the Twin Towers when they were there, and she learned to shop.
That's not that's
Saturday.
that was a great
train,
day
and she's spending money. I'm like, Jesus Christ!
You give her the card, and she comes back, and like, oh my god,
she bring one of her girlfriends.
She just got a lot more.
He's gonna stay on train. Oh, he'll be fine. Karen, go.
Yeah.
Oh my god, Enzo.
Keep her around. We used to have a saying here too. Like I remember we'd be in here training, like in camp, right? And there'd be like a lot of guys, like guys that are still fighting. Harry was fighting HBO. You were in here. Ton of guys, like Eric would be in here sometimes. Eric Hutch, right? And every time we'd be like, "Yo, the baddest motherfucker in this place is Karen. Your wife.
Yeah,
like, she's the scariest one in here." Yeah, she was. Oh man, but so what was that shock like initially? I know we're backtracking a little bit, but yeah. So I mean, you probably saw what, like 3 buildings over 2 stories, and then you go to
it was just it was a good shock. I was I was excited.
You were looking for adventure.
Yeah. It was exciting. I mean, my first taxi cab, I was white knuckled the whole time.
Yeah,
that's kind of cool, man. It was all good. I was excited for it.
Nice.
Who was the guy that came from New York? Mark. I think his name from Montreal. He used to come down and do
Mark Klein.
That's it.
Yeah, Mark. Yeah.
He would come from Montreal.
Like that's where George came down to in the methadone clinics when George St. Pierre came down.
Yes.
Yeah.
What? Like they would?
I think Mark brought him down, right? Is that
they would like he would commute
remember.
to the school?
Yeah.
Like daily?
Weekly
or something?
They'd stay like 3 days. I think it was like a Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
So he'd come for like the weekend loop and
and then go.
But still,
they had nothing up there.
Yeah.
I remember telling me they don't have nothing there.
Yeah, there was.
Like,
look at it now.
Mark might have been like when I met him, he was a blue belt.
Yeah.
But I think eventually got his purple belt. Very good. He was active. I mean, he fought on some fight cards that I fought on too. Like he was like very good.
Yeah.
And he commuted, and I go, man, that's dedication.
Yeah.
Here's the difference.
Yeah.
Henzo taught he might train in 3 classes that day that he was there.
Yeah.
He remembered every freaking thing that was taught, detail for detail.
Yeah.
Because he had to. There was no like, I live around the corner, I'm going to catch up tomorrow. Like he had to pay attention and he had to learn.
Yeah.
You know, and I found that those guys that traveled the furthest got the most out of every class.
I agree.
Because they weren't around the corner. I think when you live around the corner, you take for granted.
100%.
You're like, oh, I'll be back tomorrow. I can catch up tomorrow.
Yeah.
You never catch up.
No.
Like you're there now in that moment, you do it now, right?
Yeah.
And I just found like, man, he's taking a lot of information and applying it right away.
Yeah.
And I was fascinated by it. I thought, wow, but that's, I thought an hour and a half trip, him hour and a half.
Yeah.
He's traveling from Montreal. I can't travel from another country.
Jesus Christ. I mean, but it's crazy to think like back then, I mean, Henzo's was like the only spot. Right?
Yeah. It was the best spot. Like, people were just that figured it out, knew that was the place to go.
But I mean,
but there were not a lot of other jiu-jitsu schools in the country at that time, or in the planet.
Fabio Gorgel, I'm trying to think if he had one down there, Alliance somewhere in New York. Might have been a small Alliance school. There was a couple really tiny.
Not that caliber.
Maybe, nothing.
No,
but it's crazy to think. I would love to see. There's got to be like a chart somewhere or something of like just you start the nucleus in New York, and then you just see like just like everywhere. It's everywhere now. It's Henzo's is a global brand.
Like even things where I mentioned this the other day. Somebody had asked, and I mentioned it this is how branched out it is. Jim Miller, right? So Jim Miller in the UFC is one of the highest submissions rates of all time.
Yep.
That's Jamie's guy.
Yes,
you know
Jamie
what I mean.
Cruz.
So you start thinking about like you don't even know that that's sort of a Henzo guy.
Yeah.
But you just don't realize that. So it goes way out. I mean, if we started
Jim and Dan Miller both were with Jamie Cruz.
Yeah.
Jamie Cruz, an old black belt from Renzo's.
Yeah.
And when you talk about pressure and top position, like when he was telling you, like when he was telling with the seminar, and he was talking about like Jamie's top pressure, you didn't want him getting past your body. Like his pressure was unbelievable. It was crazy.
Yeah. So it would go very, very far. Just like if you started to really look at like who is this, who's and who did they put? Oh my goodness, yeah.
Oh, I'd love to. Plus, I mean, it's almost like impressive. It's like a back in the day, if like there's a stigma in boxing of like if you're a Philly fighter, right? It means like Meldrick Taylor when he lost to Julio Cesar Chavez, it's because he didn't take the last round off and he kept battling the last round. And they said, oh, it's because he's a Philly fighter. He doesn't take rounds off. Yep. So it's kind of like a badge of honor in a way. Whereas like if you're a Renzo guy, it's the same thing. That's like a badge of honor where it's like, hey, man, if you win, whatever, but it's a tough out each time. Yeah. Like these guys, like they come trained well, they know what they're doing, and there's no bullshit. And I think it's guys like you with your schools that hold that brand up. Like there's integrity behind the brand, and I think that was inputted in New York with him initially, right? Yeah, 100%. And you guys, both of you, carry that to the schools, right?
Carry it on.
I know people that he did not let have schools.
Yeah.
I mean, without mentioning names, one of them, man. Yeah, remember that conversation, and
so he really looked when he was because he knew like he maybe he didn't see or I don't know, I don't want to speak for him, but he had to have an idea when he sees the growth of you guys at the school of the idea for a potential worldwide brand, right? But he knew.
I don't know if that, to be honest. I mean,
no,
I think you just go what
he just wanted to spread the word of jiu-jitsu.
I mean, I think so, but I think he just goes, what's going to be a good representative. Not just the brand, the family, and the culture.
Yes,
spread it, get it out there for every common day person. Mm-hmm. You know, I always go, you want to be good at what you do. You don't have to be the best. You have to be good at what you do.
Yeah,
you got to be a good person, and you have to be able to communicate with people and reach people.
Yes.
And I think that goes just as far as being good at what you do. It's kind of a combination of things.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If you lack in one area or another, it might not be something that you want to do. Just because you're good at it doesn't mean you're going to teach and have a school, because you might not be able to communicate with people or touch people in a way, or like you got to know when someone needs that hand, they need that help. They want to do it. They can't afford to do it. You got to open that door and hey, they're trying, they're a good person. Let me open that door. Let them get them in here to train. I can have them clean the mat after class, whatever.
Yeah.
That's things, you know, I know people are very business-like. They would never do that. They're like, nope, it's business. It's business. And it's not. It's a business, but it's not.
Yeah.
That's right.
And that's the difference.
But you have to write, but do you think he was like a good judge of character in a way then of the guys he would let open?
Absolutely.
Like he has to know, like, look, because like you're saying, it's his family name, not just a brand name. It's his name and his family's name.
I'm going to show him now. He's just he's a good person.
Yeah, he's a great person.
And you could tell he's very, he's open about himself. And, you know, it's just, I think you feel that when you first meet him.
Yeah.
You know, I always go, he's probably going to go down as probably the best instruction guy ever as far as teaching the art. He's probably going to go down as a better person.
Yeah.
Which is crazy, right?
Yeah.
So you're going to go like everyone goes, oh, Renzo is incredible jiu-jitsu guy, incredible fighter. Can you imagine even being a better person? But that's the type of person he is.
Yeah, he is.
You know, why do you think he has the relationships? I remember someone telling me that Isaac.
Yeah.
He met him one time. He goes like 5 years had passed. And at that time, Isaac wasn't even training with him. He met him in Tampa or something. He said he actually remembered my name.
Jesus.
Now that's crazy.
That's incredible. Imagine
people
That's
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
There's just something there. There's something special about him. I can't really put my finger on it, but he makes you feel like you're part of the family before you're even part of the family.
Yeah. That's awesome, man.
And I think that he can connect with people in a way that he kind of feels who you are too.
Yeah.
You know, he's been burnt too.
Yeah.
You know, he's had his battles.
Everyone learns their lessons.
You know, and sometimes when you're opening yourself up like that, you leave yourself vulnerable.
That's right. What did they say? I'd rather have loved and lost.
Yeah,
that's the same. You're gonna get burnt when you give yourself like that. It's gonna happen, and you have to learn from it. And
you don't have your defenses up when you're giving. Right?
It's gonna happen. But that's what makes great people great people.
Yeah, right. he's weathered through all of it.
Yep.
You know,
And it seems too he does a great job of building a team around him and things like that. Yeah,
guys, I think hey, look, he's had some people around him that he's put in places where they kind of were taking advantage.
No,
of
100%.
And you remember that again without the games.
Of course,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
And
But did he have? But he had people there like you guys being like,
oh, it was a good day for that guy when he left. There's one I probably know who you're talking about.
Yep.
But I'm not going to mention any names. But I came looking for that guy because
he burned.
Enzo was like, oh, he's not here today. Yesterday, Enzo, you better tell me where he is. He's like, oh, he's not coming back for a while.
Yeah,
good, because I'll wait on the mats until he comes back.
Oh yeah,
damn.
Karen was my wife. My wife's good at picking people out.
Yeah, you don't want to be picked out. No,
yeah, she could see. You know what I mean?
She can smell the bullshit. Yeah,
it's something women are built with. They have that. You know what I mean?
Big time. So okay, let's talk about this. So So I guess you were doing some instructing in New York.
Right? Oh yeah, a lot actually. I was so John and I started teaching the noon class.
When you say
John Danaher and I.
Okay,
yeah, we were colleagues. So we started teaching the noon class as Matt, Sarah, and Rodrigo Gracie opened their school in Long Island. So, and then Matt was coming. They would alternate days, but it was only 2 days a week. Yeah. So then John and I, Renzo had John and I start teaching all the noon classes, and then that would mean when he was off fighting, then we would also teach the night classes. So
wow,
we would sort of be.
So you had gotten a lot of really good experience,
a lot of teaching experience.
So you had been teaching for a while, then maybe like 3 or 4 years.
Yes,
and then you went to LA, and that's in 2005.
Yeah.
And then how long were you in LA for?
I was there for 13 years.
Oh wow! Yeah, so 2018 then? Oh,
I left in 2019. So,
okay, and then and then that's when you came to Nashville.
So we went from so my wife is a fashion photographer. So we went from LA. Okay. We had our son and just knew that LA was never going to be the place where we would raise family. And so we went from LA, and she got a job in New York, basically a 6-month job. And we said, we'll be there for a year. Let's just go for a year.
Yeah.
And then head to Nashville. Or just see how we like New York. Nashville was always that's where we want to go.
Right.
Had been there and loved it.
Oh, okay.
We had been there and loved it. And it was closer to
Nashville's
family.
On such a come up.
Oh
man.
And so we went to New York, and Enzo, I'm back. I'm going to teach it again. And then it was this the reality of being in New York with a child. And so my son got very sick. He got horrendously, and we were just like my wife looked at me, and we were in the hospital. He's in ICU for 4 days.
Brooklyn, right?
In Brooklyn,
yes.
And we just looked at each other. Literally, she was like, "We're getting out of here," and I was literally like, yeah, I think it's not the place for a family.
Hell no.
And so we left in January 2020, right before COVID happened.
Holy. So wait, and then you opened the school in Nashville right before COVID?
I couldn't, because we had a seminar and some seminar tours. And so I wanted to wait and get used to the area and go, hey, I really want to pick the right spot, but I need to know more about Nashville. I sold my LA school, and I need to know a lot more. Mm-hmm. And had a Costa Rican camp. And then when I came back from that was when it was happening. It was like February 2020. We started hearing like this crazy thing going on in China. And we're like, what is this? Airlines are closing. And we're like, So when I got back, of course, that's when everything shut down. So I had to wait until the end of that year. I opened up a spot where
you probably best anyway.
Yeah,
really,
yeah, nothing would have been happening.
Blessing in the curse.
Yeah, and so then I opened up in a spot that I was.
Because people were giving away stores.
It did, and so then that's when I opened Renzo Gracie Nashville, and the end of 2020, and it was like word of mouth, because I didn't know. We still didn't know what was going to happen. In Tennessee, they were kind of like, do whatever you want, but we didn't know. No one really knew, so I kept it. I didn't even. Really, this year was the only year I started advertising. I haven't advertised at all since about 6 months ago.
Yeah,
but there was no other jiu-jitsu schools there.
Not in that area. They have them in Tennessee, of course, but not where I opened.
It's crazy. There's still spots where you got the whole state, and there might be 2 jiu-jitsu schools.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you can't. I mean, I was just wondering. So okay. In PA wrestling is king, right? Wrestling is big. This is a big wrestling area here. Yeah. So, Rich, did you when you opened, did you kind of have the idea of like, hey, this is a wrestling area?
Oh, yeah.
So,
absolutely.
But is there any wrestling in Tennessee?
There is.
I'll tell you this. when we wrestled out of state guys, like it was like a night off.
Yeah,
Like, Jersey, New York,
Yeah.
Ohio,
Yeah.
they could go, but that's because they're all neighbors. But
Yeah.
like,
Here's the
I
difference.
wrestled
It's
like
a hybrid now.
Yeah, it is.
It's a hybrid now.
So
Look at all the guys from Penn State, and
Yeah.
those guys just didn't develop those skills now.
Mhm,
That was 10 years ago when they were younger. All of a sudden, wait till you see the next group in
Oh,
10
yeah.
years.
It's gonna,
Not just
Oh.
it's
Penn
gonna be
State.
ridiculous. Yeah.
A lot of that stuff would have been stood back up.
Yeah.
They let that go.
Oh,
Now
I
you're
love it.
seeing that. You're seeing the same thing
Yeah.
now
It's gonna be ridiculous.
on the MMA end of
Yeah.
it with
Yeah.
the jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
So you're getting the control, you're getting the pressure, but now you're getting a lot of the finishes are coming from positions that maybe were considered, let's kind of let it go, stand back up, or
Yeah.
maybe hold the guy down.
yeah,
Now you're not finding that.
No.
So you see a true hybrid.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Coming.
the effect that
100%.
jiu-jitsu's had on wrestling is can't be said
Yeah.
enough. This is like the entire rule set has changed, and like just what you have to like before, it had to be conditioning, you had to be strong, you had to have your technique.
That's right.
Now you have to be like a gymnast.
So,
just
here's what I always tell everybody, right? If you take two people and they're equal in everything, right?
Mm-hmm,
And they're both incredible athletes.
mm-hmm.
If that one person is a little different or does things a little different, not traditional, he's going to be able to take advantage of the other guy.
Yeah.
Because the other guy expects there's timing and rhythm. So sometimes the more traditional you are, the more clean you are, the easier it is to get your timing and to kind of know what you're going to do. But that's why somebody who's kind of herky-jerky, they have success.
Yeah.
And they're kind of sloppy. And you're like, how the frick can they?
Yeah.
They just can't get their timing.
Yes.
And you notice it more with stand-up, but you're starting to see it now in grappling.
Mm-hmm.
And it still it's still clean what they're doing, but you're starting to notice it's harder to kind of gauge them
Mm-hmm.
and read them where like, hey, if I move him this way and I do this, I know where he has to go to escape.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now when you start adding the wrestling hybrid and you're getting this mix,
Mm-hmm.
you're getting people to surprise people because they're moving a little differently and they're getting out of that situation that you didn't think of 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And that's what I see different. He can correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
No.
That's kind of what I'm saying.
And that's big with wrestling. That the integration of jiu-jitsu, I think that's why
Yeah.
what's really changing wrestling
Yes.
a lot. Because now these guys are not afraid to go to their butt or their back
Yes.
Yeah.
to reverse people. And one of my wrestling coaches named Rico Ciparelli,
Oh, yeah.
he did that from the very beginning. He was a very risky wrestler and did Sumigation, with what they call the Rico roll.
Yep.
But like that was a big thing for him, and just having that.
He trained Randy Couture.
He did, yeah. So when I moved to LA in 2005, I went to his place twice a week. I taught him jiu-jitsu and he showed me wrestling. So
Oh, no
it's
shit.
most incredible secret weapon of the
Wonderful
coach.
guy now.
Then he was, I don't know how old he is.
He always looks young. Right?
yeah, he was
Good
maybe
wrestler.
10 years older than me. That
Wow.
guy is one of the most incredible humans as far as skill sets that I've ever seen in my entire
Just
life.
natural.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw him wrestle. Now he was much older. Let's see. I don't remember how in about 06, 07.
And this is Couture?
This is
Rico Ciparelli. who-
Okay.
it's like Randy Couture's coach.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
It was him.
And there's definitely a reason why he was the coach. Like he's
Yeah.
just a very cerebral human being, but the
Yeah.
skills that he had, he beat Mark Schultz and
Sure.
so yeah, when they were in their
wow.
prime after now
That's true. I forgot about
somebody
that.
might roast me on this, but this is just because this is what I heard. I mean, he was out, he wasn't even training, and he came back. Somebody said, "Hey, there's an Olympic trials," and he was like, "Oh, really? I guess I'll do them." And he beat Mark Schultz that year. I mean, he was a special human being,
Wow.
and I saw him wrestle one time. Now, I got decent wrestling skills. He gave me he worked with me, and amongst of like guys like Warren Stott, all these other guys from Lehigh, they helped me a lot.
Warren
But-
wrestled right up the street.
yeah, but I had gotten some pretty good wrestling skills.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't get to his leg. That's how good this guy was. I saw him wrestle a collegiate champion in 07, a guy that was an NCAA champion, and and the guy said, well, we were down at his place in R1, and he and I were just drilling because he was getting into fighting, and this guy said looked at Rico one time, was Rico had given me some advice, and looked at Rico and said, "You want to wrestle?" I have never seen. I've only seen one other time. A guy put a beating on someone so bad that this guy didn't look like he even knew how to wrestle. No. I'm not kidding.
And this guy's coming right off a national
I'm
championship.
not kidding.
Rico Ciparelli would have been what you see the modern Penn State guys roll.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
Bo Nichols and the
Yes,
that's
you can imagine he was black belt level in jiu-jitsu.
Yes.
But he was world class, Olympic level at wrestling.
That's dangerous.
But also with all of the world class. I mean, he was world class black belt.
He mixed it and blended it so well.
Yeah.
Remember I was telling you with Sid what makes him special and people have trouble getting his timing is because he's learned to take those skills and wrestle in the cage. And all of a sudden, even when he was down, like where he's at training now, they go, all of a sudden you're defending wrestling and he's on your back choking you.
Yeah.
And you just have no idea how you end up there. It's that tight. It's a seamless. Yeah. It's not like stop, go. No, it's seamless. And that's what's coming out now. Yeah. And I think that's the new, I'm curious how that transitions into the gi.
Yeah.
It's going to be neat. I think
it's
years of entertainment and it's neat to see. I think it's, jiu-jitsu has made wrestling more popular.
Oh,
it has made women's wrestling huge.
Oh,
right.
Huge.
Big now. And women doing jiu-jitsu now.
Yeah.
I think it's moved into MMA, Bellator, 1FC, UFC, where you're seeing it. It's done a lot. And you're seeing a lot of even your old boxing gyms and kickboxing gyms start to blossom from the over spillage of athletes coming out and looking to cross train now.
I think there's something inherently special about jiu-jitsu that doesn't I did all kinds. We've all done martial arts and boxing and all that kind of stuff. But I think there's something a little bit different than when you train that. The fact that that you can do it in such a way that it can be done without being injured. I think there's it like directly correlates life. So then you can. The longevity is better. It can mix better. It can do more. Does more. More benefit to you as a human being, even if you're not quite aware of what it's doing. It does it, and
it's forever evolving.
About traditional martial arts, right? You're doing a knife hand. Yeah, they're worried about your pinky. That thing was an eighth of an inch off. You know what I mean? Who gives a freaking shit? You know what I mean? That's what I didn't like about traditional martial arts. Yes, did they have their place? Like. Yeah, they teach you left, right, balance, coordination, flexibility, discipline, all those things that come out of it. Discipline's the last thing you get out of it, but you get all those other benefits, right? Yeah. But jiu-jitsu, you're taking those things and applying them right away, and then you're trying to problem solve in your head. You can't problem solve when you're not physically doing anything or you're playing glorified version of tag.
Yeah,
it teaches you. Now, don't get me wrong. Glorified tag teaches you to be able to judge distance in and out, avoid, but it also takes youth and athleticism to be able to do those things. If you're a 300-pound man, you don't have that same agility to get in and out and move. Playing tag is probably not going to be good for you. You're probably going to be getting cracked. Right. Yeah, so, I would say that particular thing would not work. That particular style would not work for him. Jiu-jitsu, though.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. You're athletic. You're not athletic. It doesn't matter. You can make it work.
Even if you're slightly just like if you're like an amputee or you know what I mean, like the military guys come back and they can still do it, like the amputees and things like that. Because
the one guy with he was from Connecticut with the one arm. Freaking choking people out. And he was fighting with it too. He was cracking people. I was like getting hit with an elbow. He was putting people out with that. So I would say that jiu-jitsu makes you better at everything else.
Agreed. It does. Training for life.
You have live problem solving and live feedback. You in the moment, you become a very good problem solver.
The only thing that I see is the people, and I see it more with like say the soccer and the wrestling parents. They want their kid to get good at jiu-jitsu. They want it so bad. They want to put this much effort in. He can only make it once a week. He's got 6 days of soccer or 6 days of wrestling, and it's like, but that's not how it works. Like you've got to be able to split the time at least. Like it's going to take 3 days a week. Consistently over a couple of years to get those benefits. And then he's going to have those life benefits. But you can't expect, my kid's going to do one class a week. That's not going to work. You're
No.
not going to get those benefits. That's not going to happen. But they want it because
Yeah.
they want them to become a better wrestler, better soccer player.
Mhm.
But they only want to put this much effort in. It doesn't work. That's not life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Not
At
even
that point,
close.
I just go stick to what you're
Yeah.
doing because you're not in it. You know, I had a dad that was with me years ago that said, "I wish I would have kept my kid. I thought he was going to get bad habits. I thought he was going to get bad habits for wrestling." And now he goes, I see it.
Yeah.
And, you know, his kid's an adult now, but he goes, I just didn't know.
This is normal. This is
Yeah.
normal.
You go
The older
through it.
wrestling crowd is that they think that their first reaction is that, well, I don't want them on their back. No. That's not what jiu-jitsu is about. It's not them being on their back. It's not. And so that's a very dangerous misconception.
Agreed.
If someone's listening to this that is either a parent or a young wrestler coming up, you better be training jiu-jitsu because it's going to make you better.
They all are now. You're going to be left behind.
You're going to be left behind. You're going to be losing to the kids that are training.
That's right.
Go ahead.
Speaking of Warren, my buddy Warren Stout and Dan Hyman, they wrestle these Lehigh wrestlers.
Incredible.
Super good wrestling team, very talented wrestlers. We were in a bar. This was in 2002. I think it was 2001, 2002.
Okay.
In a bar, and they had me show Troy Letters and John Trench. Yeah, Troy Letters and John Trench. Come on,
John Trench?
Yeah,
Troy actually used it that year on the national championships. He actually used the Kimura, and it became one of his favorite things.
He used to love this guy.
That's
here.
right. Yeah.
He would
we were going over in a bar, going over. I was after some wrestling event.
He had
a single leg,
right?
going after
Troy Letters.
They were like, "You guys got to see this. We have to learn this kind of stuff."
He coaches at Penn State
now.
Yeah.
But
you know what's funny? That move, he was big on that move, and
his wife was not
that move's illegal.
It's not illegal.
Oh, it's illegal to go behind the back. If you go through the legs,
it's not illegal. It's if you put the arm in the potentially dangerous situation, which means that the arm has to come behind the back.
That's called a hammerlock.
Yeah, you can use a Kimura, but you just can't. You have to be careful with how you use.
I guess it was illegal as a takedown. Like there was guys that would do if they did like the takedown this way.
Yeah, you have to be careful how you use it.
Right. Yeah. If you did the takedown and went through the legs, that's one thing. But if you did if I grabbed you here and then I tried
take
to
my
roll
arm behind my back,
see you later. Yeah.
Of course.
We had a guy
He was getting put unconscious with a head and arm front.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Big time.
The guy, a very famous Russian wrestler back in the day, probably one of the best ever, put I think Kenny Monday asleep with it and went behind him and slapped him and woke him up. Behind him. Because
they would hang on.
Yeah.
And once this elbow gets here, you got to get that elbow back.
Yeah.
I use it instead of going down the anaconda. I just step on my toes. I walk and put my head there.
Yeah.
And I just do the pump and I just keep driving this. And a lot of times they keep driving for the single leg.
Yeah.
And that's what happens.
And they just cinch it up for you.
Flash and then boom. But I did it by accident.
Yeah.
And that's
fell into it. Yeah.
Well, it's from training. That's what I mean. That's jujitsu.
Mat time.
You're like, oh shit.
Mat time.
So just gotta squeeze.
We are coming close to the top of time. I did want to talk about this a little bit. Like we said, Nashville, Renzo Gracie Nashville, right? Shawn Williams BJJ on everything. YouTube, Instagram. We'll have links to everything in the description of this. Highly suggest checking out. So at this time, I guess if 05 is when you started, so you've been teaching for like 22 years on. Oh no, 05 is when you started in LA,
right?
So you've probably been teaching for maybe 26 years, something like that.
Total now, something like that. 20.
He can teach anybody.
Yeah.
No, that's what everyone said. Like I asked everybody when I was setting up, like how was seminar? They're like, oh, it was incredible. He was awesome. So you did a great job.
Every day in New York, you got different people coming.
And different backgrounds, different languages,
people from all over.
Yeah.
People think it's like normal, like around here. You have people that come there from all over the world. And just walk into the school.
Yeah.
Same in LA, it's such a land.
LA.
Same.
Yeah.
And I bet you get
people in LA. And
are you bilingual? Do you speak other languages?
No, I speak just a little bit of Portuguese.
Okay.
And then, I used to be better than I am. I keep telling myself I'm gonna. I used to be. I mean, I can understand conversations, but I used to be able to speak pretty decently. But that was because I around it all the time.
Portuguese.
Yeah. I was around it more. I'm not around it.
That makes sense. Brazil, Portuguese. Yeah, that makes sense.
I always wanted to.
Yeah.
The time, I got stories, funny stories. I used to tell funny stories.
Yeah.
So the first time I went to Brazil was in '99 for the Worlds. I went every year for the Worlds.
Okay.
And I asked Renzo, do I need to speak Portuguese to go down there? And he was like, nah, everybody speaks English. So I went, no one spoke English. Except the kids. But the kids, because they learn English through school, with the kids speak it, but no cab driver listening, you know.
Yeah.
So I was like, note to self, note to self. Yeah, there was no phones like that. Yeah. So then note to self, I started learning it the next year. I'm like, I better have some.
And then Daniel always said, he goes, if like he said when he was modeling, he was over in Italy.
Yeah.
And he said, I picked up Italian.
Yeah.
I go, he goes, because you got to eat. You got to find a place to sleep.
That's right.
You have to get rides. You pick it up real quick. Once you learn one language, you learn another.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, that makes sense, Dan.
Yeah, that's right. The best time I spent 6 weeks in Brazil, and by the end of the 6 weeks, because I had a basic understanding and some basic conversational Portuguese, then I was decent when I got back.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. But you lose it if you don't use it. What happens to me is, it used to be where I could. Now it sounds fast again. You know what I mean? Because I don't practice.
Oh, it used to be. Able to
it slows down. You know, you know what the language, it starts to slow down. But now it seems like fast again. I have to really pay attention when I didn't used to. Have to pay attention.
My wife's Albanian, so my kid is 3, but she knows more than I do already. You know, because she went to an Albanian daycare, and it's just like, just because, exactly, and I love it. I love it.
You don't even know. Right?
Well, I can't. I was like, if I learn, I get to hear what they're saying about me. I'm like,
that's right.
I mean, hell it.
So okay, so we are coming close. I want to talk about Renzo Gracie Nashville, right? So you've been open for 2 years?
Yeah, 2 years, a little over 2 years.
Okay.
3rd year now.
So, you know, we have a philosophy here in the community here. I just want to get your background on, like, what do you think is the best thing or what is the best thing jiu-jitsu has done for you, right? What is your favorite thing about jiu-jitsu? And then what do you want to do going forward with your school? How would you like to progress?
That's a pretty heavy question.
I know. So it's a lot. It's a lot.
What it's done for, I mean, it's really set up my entire life. So I as I was saying before, I think jiu-jitsu sort of mirrors life. You see the same challenges on the mat that you face in real life.
Yes.
If you've learned from those, it helps you navigate life a lot easier. I feel like it gave me the ability to deal with people better, be more patient, not panic when the shit hits the fan, so to speak, because you're in that environment. Like, you have to navigate through being squashed by a 300-pound sweating human being. I think that translates into life. Just like Rich went through the health things. I think without that, you panic. With that, you say, oh shit, what am I going to do? And how am I going to get out of this? Rather than saying, this isn't solvable. I think it gives you the power of, this is solvable. This is a problem, and I'm going to solve this problem. And I'm not going to accept no for an answer, because this is the way that we deal with these things. And it's normal. It's part of every day on the mat. You deal with these things.
A little baptism under fire.
That's right. So I feel like that's probably one of the best things that it did for me, as far as
give you mental toughness.
That's right, and as well as developed friendships that are like you see.
You guys are it's
like picking up where you left off. Matt Sarah and I talk about that all the time. Maybe we don't see each other for several months or whatever it is, but as soon as you see each other, boom, it's instantaneous, right back in. And I think that is a big deal. I think it's a big deal.
Do you think, like,
friendships you get?
I agree. I think too. It's like, I mean, I don't want to compare it to the military, because that's a lot more, I'm not
community, but it's similar.
But it's also like, you're going through the shit with your brothers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or your because there's women in there too. So it's like, you guys you're going through the shit together. I remember, like, when we would be in camp and there'd be a bunch of us on a card and we're all miserable cutting weight. We're all going through it together. So I always feel like there's a bond.
That's right.
There. You know, like, I think that's kind of the same with jiu-jitsu. Like, we're all going through it. Like, this is tough. Like, the rooms, like, this is a rough room, you know, like, going through it's tough.
I think what made it unique back then versus now is nobody knew it was going to be this. Like, so everybody was real.
Yes.
You never knew it was going to be like this. So you weren't trying to be that tough guy or be the dominant person. You were just up there training with people that you liked. And going hard, and Renzo was a great instructor. He, he could have done BJJ for dummies. That's how easy he makes it, right?
Yeah, that's impressive.
And I just feel like that in itself, because of what it was like back then versus now, made it much easier. Not knowing, like, hey, I think if they would have said, hey, it's going to be this, this mega, type of business, it's going to be mega, blah, blah, blah. I think people would have looked at it differently. You would have had a lot of dirty deals. You would have had people that weren't, you wouldn't have had the same foundation. I think it took years.
Keeps it pure, right?
It kept it pure, and that solid foundation of people looking out for each other that are in the business from the beginning, look out for each other.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it's about.
Yeah, I agree. I couldn't. Yeah,
nobody's strong arming their way in.
That's right.
But plus, too, I feel like I mean, this place. One of the things I love about this place is like you can leave your resume outside and check your ego at the door because that shit does not fly. No, it gets checked. What are you gonna do? Like, you
need to have a little ego to do it.
You gotta have some gumption. You gotta have some balls. You gotta have some gumption.
You can't be a dick.
Exactly. Right. You can go out there. You gotta have a little I remember Harry was saying even when he was in the ring, you're always the boss, right? When you're in there, you're always the boss. When you're on the mat, you always want to be the boss, right? I get that, right? Like there's that ego, but if you're a guy coming in here and you're a jack son of a bitch and you get subbed by a 95-pound, 65-year-old lady, that's the deal, man. Yeah. You
ain't telling your buddies about it. It's like you're riding a moped to work. You ain't talking about that. To everybody else, you're on a Harley.
You're riding a hog, yeah.
Yeah,
that's right.
So okay, and then Renzo Gracie Nashville, like we said, we'll have links in the description for everything. You had the Renzo Gracie LA, or was it Renzo Gracie LA? Okay. Yeah. So you had Renzo Gracie LA. What kind of do you have any things that maybe you're doing differently in Nashville with all the experiences you've had that is going to take you into the future?
Yeah, 100%. I learned from what I did there. It's a different culture. Nashville is a completely different culture than Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. We have a bunch of I had great people in Los Angeles. That's not what I'm saying, but I feel like we have a very dedicated, hardworking group that we're building up for competitive wise.
Oh, nice.
And then just doing. I'm working on creating a little bit more of a lifestyle type brand there. That's going to take a little while, but we're working on it. And so, we're gonna have some big plans for the city. Some big plans for
that's
the city.
Awesome, man.
So, and it'll mix with the wrestling very well if everything goes accordingly.
To get. I know we skipped over that question before, but there is a wrestling community.
There is. There's a big wrestling community. Almost every Nashville. High school has it.
Okay.
It's something that I'm really passionate about helping build the city because they do have a good wrestling. It's numbers wise, and I'm very passionate about building it up and making it something where when a Nashvilleian comes to Pittsburgh or Philly to wrestle, Pennsylvania to wrestle, that there isn't going to be a cakewalk.
All right.
So it's going to take some time. It's something that it's actually a passion thing. That's right. It's a passion thing.
Hey,
because I understand all the wrestling that I did. I know what jiu-jitsu can do for wrestling.
Agreed,
so. It's going to take some time, but that's a big goal of mine.
I would love
Pennsylvania is so strong though because of the youth wrestling program.
Yes.
So that's where we have it good,
and that's
the youth.
Oh, you have a youth wrestling?
Oh yeah, and so
there's a lot of states that don't even have that.
That's right,
that's
and we have it now. It's I want to help make it something unique and special and put Tennessee on the map as far as wrestling goes.
That's where you're starting.
Yeah.
You ain't starting with the guys that are getting ready to graduate high school.
No.
You're starting with the first graders.
That's right. That's right.
Cabot, Steve Cabot, Cabot. He's at a tournament right now, and he called me before this, and 3 of his guys have qualified for youth wrestling states today. And that's just now. They're still going, so he's probably gonna have more. And he took 15 out there, so hopefully a bunch go. But that's for our local team, North Penn.
3 out of 15 is incredible.
Yeah, and that was just this was earlier today, so they were still going. So he's probably got more. Hopefully,
Amazing.
So nice. All right, so we are coming to the top of time. Shawn, man, thank you so much. This was such a blast, right? This is fun.
Yeah,
and I would, can't wait. If we would love to have you, if you'd be willing, we'd love to have you back on the show sometime.
Perfect. Yeah, 100%, man.
Awesome, man.
We're going back for another seminar. So.
Hey, yeah, good. Hey, we'll do it again then. Round 2. We'll see where we're at then. Nice. So, okay, Rich, anything you want to say to the Renzo Gracie faithful before we get out of here?
No, it was great having Shawn up here today, and really appreciate it. It was a great seminar, Shawn. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Pleasure having you.
It's great to be here.
Cool. Shawn, anything you want to say to everyone listening before we get out of here?
No, that's it. Thanks for listening. Hopefully you guys made it through the whole thing.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me. Yeah.
Thanks for this, Rich. Thanks again as always. So, everyone listening, this has been another episode of the Working Perspectives Podcast. I'm Matt Lavelle, accompanied today by the one and only Rich Latta and Shawn Williams, BJJ, Renzo Gracie Nashville. Links in the description. Check it out. In case you're wondering, you can find all our stuff and all our content on all podcast platforms and YouTube at Working Perspectives Podcast. You can follow us on Instagram at Working Perspectives Podcast, and you can join us on the Twitter and the TikTok, the Working P Pod. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, please email us at workingperspectives@gmail.com, and please like and subscribe so we can keep this party going. Thanks for listening. Stick around for the ad read. Thanks. See ya. Do you have a message or a story inside of you that you've been waiting to tell? Have you always dreamed of writing a book, but are intimidated by the complexities of the book publishing world? Perhaps you want to use a book to launch your public speaking or consulting career. If so, please reach out to Scott & Bell Publishing, located right here in beautiful Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Scott & Bell Publishing handle all genres and authors with all experience levels. Scott & Bell Publishing gives authors 100% creative freedom and a higher royalty split. They can be found at www.skotbell.com. That's www.s as in Sam, K as in Kite, O as in October, T as in Tom, B as in Boy, E as in Edward, L as in Larry, L as in Larry.com. That's Scott & Bell Publishing, where the authors go.